What's going on, everybody? You know who it is. It's your boy Wham, aka Wham the God, aka Simic Daddy, aka Daddy, aka him, back bringing some more of that beautiful, unstoppable cEDH content. And you know what time it is. You seen the thumbnail. I told you about it in my last video. It's time to show you guys that undisputed, unbelievable show and tell Kinnan. We're gonna get straight into it. I don't like to hold up and wait, especially when it comes to our Lord and Savior Kinnan. So let's go. All right, here we are, baby. Show and tell Kinnan, my creation, beautiful deck. You know, we're gonna break it down piece by piece. You know, we're gonna start a bit at a time, go over everything once and for all. Even after that, you know, we might get into some mulligans, give you guys some advice on Kinnan in general, because I see a lot of people playing it incorrectly. I'll leave it at that. So, you know, starting with the list itself, show and tell Kinnan. Of course, you know, Kinnan bought the Prodigy. In case you guys don't know what this does, whenever you tap, a green and a blue human druid. Whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. 5 colorless, a blue and a green. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a non-human creature from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. We use both sides of this. We use the, you know, the triggered ability, which people don't really know, but that adding an extra mana of that type is actually a triggered ability. While also, you know, using that activation as well. A lot of people know about Kinnan where it activates and put things into play. The way this deck is made, you can do that, but it gives you leeway to do a lot of other things. Don't worry, we're gonna go over each piece. This is gonna be beautiful. So, you know, starting with the usual suspects, you know, we have Invasion of Ikoria, allowing us to search for any non-human creature. A lot of times, you know, it's probably going to end up being something like a Seaborn Muse right here. And, you know, with Seaborn Muse, you can untap all permanents you control during each player's untap step. So this is allowing you to pretty much go through and get those Kinnan activations once you have 7 mana up, or, you know, once you get that 1 ring into play, allowing you to pretty much go through and untap that 1 ring, giving you, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, like up to 10 cards, you know, a turn cycle, maybe even more if you can find a way to untap it in between those times. With that being said, you know, I'm not going to bore you guys with the usual. We all know that, you know, it's on Tezzeret the Secret to find Basalt Monolith. Of course, Basalt Monolith is in the deck. Basalt Monolith with Kinnan equals infinite mana once you get through that first untap. And, you know, with Basalt Monolith, once you activate the untap effect, that's when things get really weird sometimes. And once you get past that, you're home free. So we have, of course, Basalt Monolith. We'll have our Mirage Mirror, you know, our Moon Silver Key to go and find it, or to find, you know, maybe another artifact. Don't worry, we're gonna get into it later. I can't wait. So I'm not gonna go over these usual things. You know they're in here. Trophy Mage, of course, Mirage Mirror trick. Let's start with some things that you don't know. I personally decided to go with the Devoted Druid and Machine God's effigy build. If you don't know, we all know now that, you know, Devoted Druid Machine God's effigy is pretty much a huge combo right now. It's in a lot of decks. The reason I played this is because of that reason. It's in a lot of decks. So, you know, you have your Devoted Druid, you play Machine God Effigy, or a way to turn it into an artifact. You copy that effect, you get infinite blue and green mana with Devoted Druid and Machine God Effigy trick. Since a lot of people are playing Devoted Druid and we just happen to have that Machine Gods in our hand, or a way to, you know, actually go and get the Machine Gods effigy, we actually use their creatures to do our own little thing and win over top. So, you know, it's just a 2-sided piece. Also, Machine Gods effigy has another little trick in the deck that I'll tell you about later too. Should I go ahead and just switch this view? Okay. So let's just go with, I like the visual grid. All right, so our battles, of course, Aquarius, I'm walking here. Let's get into the creatures. So first and foremost, we're on Clever Impersonator. You know, I've been on this for about a year and a half now. Clever Impersonator, you know, it comes in, it can copy anything that's a non-land permanent. Okay, guys. So if it comes in, you have it be a 1 ring, a mana rock, a stacked piece, a heuristic study, anything, you name it, you got it. And that's one reason I really like this. My build in particular, I still run a lot of clones because the way this deck is built, if you can clone something, you get even more value. The name of the game is value with this deck. Not only can you copy your things, you're copying your opponent's things. So I'm on the Clever Impersonator, I'm on Flesh Duplicate, I'm on Phyrexian Metamorph, I'm on Machine God's Effigy. I know you guys are looking at the creatures now like it's a lot of spice going on. Don't worry, we're gonna get through it. Enduring Vitality, this is more of a new ad. So with Enduring Vitality, you know, it gives all your dorks pretty much, or all your creatures, that dork ability, you know, let it tap for any color. With Kinnan, you get 2 of those. Not only does it give your mana, you know, not only does Vitality give you, you know, your creatures this little ability to tap for mana and activate, but it also gives you, you know, more ways to hold up interaction, more ways to, you know, counter things, more ways to put things into play. Maybe that Hullbreaker Horror, you might be 1 little mana off. Boom, there we go, we got it. And with Seaborn Muse, it just allows you to go crazy. Of course, Nyxbloom Ancient, and I am on Grim Monolith. So, you know, Nyxbloom Ancient with Grim Monolith or Basalt Monolith, either one, it allows you to pretty much go infinite or make infinite colors. This is just another way to win when you don't have Kinnan in play. Maybe they, you know, found a way to keep you from casting Kinnan, or it costs too much to cast. You find a way to get that infinite colors, and you might, you know, have a way to, you know, put it into an outlet, be it Thrasios, you know, the Mirage Mirror, or things of that nature. From there, you know, you pretty much do the same thing you were gonna do with Kinnan anyway, and you just win. That another reason I have that colorless mana outlet would be, you know, for things such as Wandering Archaic or Walking Ballista. Most people aren't on Walking Ballista, but I live and die by this piece. It's one of my favorite outlets for infinite mana in the game. Number one, it's an artifact and it's a creature. So it's an artifact creature, once again, very hard to interact with because it's a creature. Another thing is you can activate and put the activations on top. So once again, once it lands, again, impossible to interact with because you just start, you know, using that infinite mana and stacking those triggers on top. Yeah, I love it. Void Winter, of course, a lot of people are running that. Another piece we're looking at here is Astral Dragon. This piece is amazing. So a lot of people are like 8 mana, but with what I'm doing, you're cheating these things into play for the most part. I mean, if you get to that point where you can hard cast it, which really isn't hard either, it become any non-land permanent, and you get 2 of them. Of course, there are creatures, you know, in regards to, you know, what they come in as, because, you know, not only do they copy that non-land ability, but they also come in as 3/3 dragon creatures in addition to those types, plus flying. So you not only do you have a blocker and attacker, you have something that's giving you those triggers or those activations or whatever it was that you copy. At its worst, it copies a fish or a Ristic. At its best, again, you can get a 1 ring, a Necropotent, a Breach, any of those things. I have never put a natural dragon into play and been, you know, not satisfied, or, you know, saying, oh, I wish this was something else. I personally love the card. It used to come in and out, but the way I have the deck built now is staying in. Outside of that, another, you know, spicy piece that I have in here is actually Sphinx of the Second Sun. I've been on Sphinx of the Second Sun for about 6 months, 6 or 7 months now. Again, Sphinx of the Second Sun, it's just, you know, great value Seaborn Muse at home. It doesn't give you the every turn, you know, untap and untap and untap and untap. But it does give you that once, you know, that second, pretty much beginning phase or upkeep phase and draw phase, and it allows you to untap again. I think that's undervalued in the meta that we're in now. Being able to do everything you want to do and then untap and draw a card again. I don't know too many things that are better than that. I mean, of course, Seaborn Muse, but outside of that, not too many other things that are better than that. Of course, we still have our big boys, our big thickums, Nezahal, Tidespout Tyrant, and Hullbreaker Horror. Of course, we all know the infinite outlets where you just have, you know, a 0 mana cost rock or any rock that can give you additional mana, pretty much a +1 mana outside of casting both of those and, you know, going in between both and bouncing them. But with a few more things I have in here, it makes it even better. I am not on the Valley Flood Caller, you know, Retraction Helix lines. Me personally, I think if you're gonna run that, you need to have a way to get the Retraction Helix into your hand. And for most builds I've been seeing with that Valley Flood Caller Retraction Helix line, they don't run the Mystical Tutor, and I feel like you're missing value with that. But that's my personal take. Again, I'm not on it because I don't really see too many things that you really want to flash in at instant speed when it comes to Kinnan. So most of it's already out there. It's pretty much right in your face. And that's another thing about this show and tell build. They know what you have. You're just showing them more things, and it's almost like an illusion of choice, but we'll get into that too. Another thing that I added here is actually a new ad, but I'm actually going to take it out. It's actually Thada Adele Acquisitor. So with this, what we're doing, all we're doing is taking people's One Rings. We're taking their Basalt Monoliths. We're taking their Machine God effigies. We're taking the things that, you know, Kinnan likes. It could even be like a small value rock. Anything that can produce mana or give us a win or, you know, give us value, we're just going to take it. The reason I'm taking this out is because it's a little too slow for my liking. So yeah, you can, if you turn 1 or turn 2 it, it's amazing. A lot of time if you activate Kinnan or cheat this into play, you still have to wait a turn before you're actually getting the value out of it. With that being said, we're actually gonna switch it out for something else. And what we're gonna switch it out for is actually bribery. I mean, excuse me, not bribery, acquire. So we're actually gonna get it. Hey, you know what? Let's just do it now. Where is it? There it is. Actually, no, we'll do it after this. I'm just gonna do it afterwards because I want to finish up this. It's a few more things I want to get into. So the reason we're switching the Thada Adele out for acquire is because it does the same thing but faster. So it's like 2 more mana. So 3 colors and 2 blue. It pretty much lets you, you know, search target opponent's library for an artifact card and then put that card onto the battlefield under your possession or under your control. It's the same thing that Thada Adele is doing, except for 2 more mana, but it's more of like an instant gratification when it comes to this. So, you know, going in and getting the One Ring is beautiful. Going in and getting whatever you want as far as artifact wise goes is beautiful. It gets around the oppos, which is another good thing. So with that being said, we're gonna be on acquire and bribery. So bribery is already in the deck. Bribery, once again, you know, boom. Search target opponent's library for a creature card and put that card onto the battlefield under control. Then that player shuffles their deck, of course. Bribery is good because everybody's on Hullbreaker lines right now. Everybody's on certain cards that you need, i.e. devoted druids, i.e. grand abolishers, ranger captains, and things of that nature. Basically, this says go get something that will lock the game and pretty much put the win on the board. Bribery is an amazing card, and I feel like it's slept on. Yes, it's 5 mana a lot, yes, but in Kinnan it's not a lot. It's basically two artifacts, or, you know, a dork and a land, and maybe something else. Whatever you like to do. What I'm saying is it's easy to make that much mana in Kinnan and play things like this. That and it's more game breaking, and it makes it easier. Cause I don't know if you noticed this. If you're a real Kinnan player and you played in enough pods, most people don't really understand that you should be breaking parity on this ability. So what do I mean by breaking parity on this ability? Or breaking parity on even the player's, you know, thought process. Usually when you play Kinnan, most people count the mana you have and they wait until you get to 7. What this deck is doing is it's taking advantage of the fact that once you get 3 to 6 mana, that's when they should be afraid. At 3 mana, we can do a lot of things that you probably shouldn't be doing. All right, guys, that's where we are. At 5 mana, the sky is the limit. So that's what we're playing on. We're playing on that 3 to 5 to 6 mana range. We don't really need to activate Kinnan. It's activated amazing, of course, but the way I have the deck set up, activations is the last thing you should be doing anyway. And that's across the board, I think, for every Kinnan player. They need to know this. When you're activating Kinnan, that should be the last thing you're doing. You should never be activating on your turn unless you have more mana up to do something afterward or interact, or there's literally nothing else you can do and you have free interaction in your hand. All right. Activating is just what you do when there's nothing else to do. At no point as a Kinnan player should you ever be completely tapped out. All right, guys. It's a no-no. Even if you don't have interaction in your hand, give the illusion of interaction. That's what it's about. You just give the illusion of interaction. Pro tip. The only time I think it would be even logical or safe to tap out is a turn 1. If you want me to be completely honest, turn 1 is probably the safest time you can tap out, and it might be okay. After that, you should have something up, or you should have some type of interaction or doing something during your turn, or giving the illusion that you have something. Outside of that, I think if you just keep that in mind while you play, it'll raise your win percentage by itself. You should never be completely tapped out. You should be having some way to interact with the board, and only tapping out if you have some free interaction. I would say those are like the basic rules. All right, so getting back into this, let's look at these sorceries. Again, I'm on bribery, I'm on fabricate. I am not on transmute artifact, believe it or not. I go in and out with transmute artifact. The way things are, it's a payment to get it through, but it's the same way in my mind as cast and fabricate. I like fabricate a little bit more because it puts it into my hand, so I don't necessarily have to do anything at that moment. Also, putting it into my hand sets up for other things in the deck, which we're about to get into actually right now. The creme de la creme, the whole meaning of the deck, show and tell. In case you don't know what show and tell is, pretty much show and tell says each player may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land card from their hand onto the battlefield. Why is this card so amazing? Don't worry, I'm gonna tell you. Show and tell is a great card because at its base, at its floor, it's giving you information. So if you play a show and tell, if no one interacts with that show and tell, they say, we'll wait. You know, it's one or two things. They have a channel ability or they're lying and they don't have anything. And if that's the case, then you put in whatever you want because you're going to be doing that anyway. But also, a lot of the times when you play things like this, the first thing that pops in someone's head is, oh, he's going to put the basalt in play. Well, if that's the case and you don't put basalt in play, why don't you interact with this? If they don't, it's either because they can't or the only thing they have left is a channel ability. With that being said, if they do interact with this, they wasted interaction because then you just cast a basalt. So this is pretty much, again, the illusion of choice. There is no choice with this card. Some people would say, oh,
you know, but if you let them do show and tell too, they'll put something else in.
If you're playing show and tell in Kinnan, I promise you 99% of the time, whatever you're putting into play is 10 times better than what anyone else is putting into play. I promise you that. I've never had a bad show and tell, and usually if this card resolves, what happens next is just pretty much shuts the game down and no one can do anything. It's almost a forecasted or, you know, showing that they're in danger, but there's really nothing you can do about it. You can interact with it, you can counter it, but then it just opens up the door for more things such as this card, Selvala Stampede. All right, in case you don't know what Selvala Stampede does or doesn't do, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys probably don't know what this does because, well, nobody's really out here playing this card. Let's see if I get a bigger view on this. I want to see it bigger. Pause. Let's change our view back to the usual. Show and tell. Excuse me. I was so excited about the card. Selvala Stampede. All right. Selvala Stampede. 4 colors, 2 green. Council's Dilemma. Starting with you, each player votes for wild or free. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card for each wild vote. Put those creatures onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. You may put a permanent card from here onto the battlefield for each free vote. All right, guys, let's talk about this. So for each wild vote, it allows you to show the top card of your deck until you see a creature card. Now, at worst, Mana Dork. At best, Nyxbloom Ancient, Consecrated Sphinx, Void Winnower. With that being said, most people are going to vote for your hand because they don't know what you have in your hand, and 9 times out of 10 is less cards than what you're going for with the Selvala Stampede off the top. That's what you want them to do. A lot of times, whatever is in your hand is 10 times worse than whatever you're getting out of the deck. The reason I say this is because if you play Kinnan enough, you know a lot of time you end up with a bunch of cards that you can't play at the time. You have to wait a little bit and maybe hard cast. This pretty much says, hey, this is pretty much a Kinnan activation to the extreme. It is the Kinnan Ultimate if you play League of Legends. This is the Kinnan Ultimate. Once this resolves, whatever you put from your hand and whatever you put from top of your deck, they cannot interact with until it hits the battlefield and those ETBs are on the stack. All right, with that being said, if you have Selvala Stampede and Show and Tell in the deck and you play either one of these, it's instant value, instant, almost to the point where it might shut the game down, and that might be it. All right, guys, with both of those things being said, what are we cheating into play with these cards? Of course, the usual suspects that I told you before: Hole Breakers, Consecrated Sphinx, Nyxbloom Ancients, Sphinx of the Second Sun, things of that nature. But the coup de grace, the big mama, what we really want to see is this: Omniscience.
You can't keep getting away with this! You can't keep getting away with it!
All right, guys, once Omniscience hits the field, it pretty much says everything's free in your hand. The reason Omniscience is so good in this deck is because you're on Hullbreaker loops, you're on Tide loops. So it pretty much says as long as you have a 1 mana rock, or a rock that makes, or any rock that makes mana on the board, and another card or permanent you can cast from your hand, you're doing the same thing you were before. But this time it's harder to stop because you can do it with anything in your hand. Again, it shuts down the board. Even at 10 mana, guess what? You can hard cast it. I've done it. Hard casting this pretty much shows table. This is it. People would say,
well, if you're gonna do 10 mana, then why don't you just go ahead and put the win on the board?
there are a lot of reasons for that. So if they let this resolve, all those counter cards in your hand that cost mana to play that were keeping you from doing the loop now are free. All right, so now the loop is even harder to stop. Omniscience, I love this card. At first, when I first put it in, I was like, we'll see. I don't know any other card I would rather show and tell or Swallow Stampede into play. Okay, guys. Outside of that, a few interaction pieces that I'm running that a lot of people probably aren't running are Commandeer. So Commandeer is a big card. I know a lot of people are running it outside of Kinnan. I actually have it in the deck now because it's pretty, advantageous to be able to take a non-creature spell from somebody right now. People are running a lot of crazy things and be able to get those things, or maybe, a free Ristic Study. So someone taps out and they play a Ristic Study, they just pay 3 mana for you to have a Ristic Study. You just take that. I once again, a great card. I haven't seen anything bad, come of it. Another big one, Counter Spell. A lot of people are saying, well, why the hell are you running Counter Spell? Because it counters a spell. That's it. It counters a spell. Any spell. There's no, tag to it, non-creature spell, this, that, and the third. The way things are now, there are a lot of silence effects and there are a lot of silence effect creatures getting put into play. So Counter Spells pretty much says no to anything. It's a 2 mana nope.
Nope.
And in Kinnan, that means you tap 1 rock and it's a nope. So for me, I love the card. Again, a little fringy, a little bit more on the casual side, but once again, stops everything. Outside of this, a lot of people will probably run delay. I'm not as big on delay due to the fact that it's 3 time counters. 3 turns can pass and it can still be cast. This just removes it altogether. I think that's why I'm more high on this. Another piece of interaction to point out that I'm really high on right now is Stifle effects. I'm usually either playing a Stifle or a Trick Bind. And this list is currently on Slime, i.e. Trick Bind. I'm a big fan of Ghostbusters. There's nothing free in the neighborhood. Who you gonna call? Trick Bind. With this on the stack, split second counters the target or activate ability. Stops everything but mana abilities. This is a beautiful card, and a split second mean, once again, as I said in my last video, once it goes on the stack, you can't interact. Stops everything, at least for that turn. A lot of times that's all you need, because you still have your Sisseis out there, you still have your Magdas out there, you still have your Time Sieves, just to name a few, and you still have Ranger Captain. So it stops all those things, and, gives you that extra turn that you might need. And nothing's better than a good Stifle, or a good, Stifle effect, be it stop and fetch lands, anything. I love it. Moving forward, another big card that we're on right now is Amphibian Downpour. Once again, Amphibian Downpour, pretty much, a flash. I wouldn't even say Stifle effect. It's more of like a flash. If I had to call it anything, Frogify. I think if I had to call it, it'd probably be more like a Frogify. So with that being said, Amphibian Downpour, 2 colorless in the blue, flash with Storm. That's why this card is so good. If you play this card at the right time, it allows you to shut down every commander at the table. Well, your opponent's commanders, or in like multiple effects at once. I don't know how many times you guys been in this, but there are a lot of pods now that's pretty much just say Magda and something else crazy. Or okay, we can say Timna anything. Shutting down all 3 of those at the same time pretty much shuts the game down for those players until they can find a way to get rid of them. Yes, can they work together? But if you attack this, I'll block it, we both block it. Either way, they both lost both of those creatures, which is again a good thing. Again, another card that I added that seems to work every time. I'll say the only commander that pretty much gets around this would be rock side. But if there's a rock side in the pot, that's a whole different situation, and you should be mulling for more interaction anyway, not to shut down that commander. Is there anything else in this deck I want to go over? Of course, I'll be putting the deck list in the description. 24 lands. We're on 24 lands, 25 if you count the Sink and the Stupor. With that being said, as I said in my previous video, the people who are on those 24, 25 lands, the brave ones, those are the ones who are playing to win. Which is another reason I should point out that in this list, I'm actually not on, Homeward Path Chimera, because in my, experience, playing Chimera Homeward Path, it is a way to lock the game, but that's more playing towards a draw in a tournament environment. In a tournament environment, with that, I'm not really looking to draw. I would like more to win. So that's why I'm not running it. Now in a casual cEDH, environment, I'd run it. Make the game go longer, eventually get a win after, however long you guys are gonna be playing, because Chimera does add time onto the clock. Outside of that, we have our regular lands, nothing crazy here. We have the Crop Rot into, maybe a Guy's Cradle or Emergent Zone. Another card I'm thinking about adding here that I haven't added yet is actually Archdruid's Charm. I saw that in play a lot during the Boil 2, and I was very impressed with it. Outside of that, let me see if there's anything else spicy that you guys should know of. Everything else is pretty, standard and down pat from there. This is pretty much gonna wrap it up. Oh, never mind. One more thing, the big thing, the Astral Dragon. Another reason the Astral Dragon's in here is because Astral Dragon and where is it? Machine God's Effigy can end up giving you infinite, pretty much Astral Dragon tokens to attack on the following turn to kill the table, okay? A lot of times if you play Machine God's Effigy with your Devoted Druid on the field, what happens is a lot of times they'll kill that Devoted Druid before the Machine God's Effigy resolves. With that being said, if you just happen to have the Astral Dragon in your hand, you can have the Machine God's Effigy come in as nothing. Then cast the Astral Dragon, have those tokens come in at the Machine God's Effigies, but since they are Machine God's Effigies, you can have those Machine God's Effigies come in as a target of something else, which would be, boom, the Astral Dragon. So the Astral Dragon, so those two tokens are now Astral Dragons. So both of those Astral Dragons will trigger, making more tokens, and you rinse and repeat until you have a bunch of 3/3 Astral Dragons with the 1/8/8, of course, or 6s, whatever it is. And from there, all you have to do is get to your next turn and kill everybody. Just kill everybody with dragon tokens. See what I'm saying? What a beautiful concept. Even then, throwing a little splash of the casual overrun effect. Beautiful times. Outside of that, everything else is pretty much self-explanatory. Quickly go over mulligans. So mulligans. When mulliganing in this deck, it's the same as any other Kinnan deck. What do you mean by that? So what I'm saying is, at minimum, when you're playing a Kinnan deck, or in general, most of the Kinnan decks currently, you want to mull and you want to get yourself a green source, a blue source, the way to make those sources, and at least a dork or a rock. That's at minimum. Now, outside of that, you want to have a piece of interaction and maybe some type of draw engine, a way to, create a draw engine, be it your Rhystic Studies, your Consecrated Sphinxes, your Mystic Remoras, if you're on Polywild Prodigies, your Polywild Prodigies, things like that. You want to have a way to put something into play as soon as possible that's going to draw you cards, that's going to put some type of advantage on the board for you. That's what you're mulling for. So if you're mulling and in your hand, you don't see, a way to make a green source, a blue source, and a way to make some more mana to do extra things, to play Tor or something, mull the hand. A lot of your games can be fixed by learning to mull effectively. Just keep that in mind moving forward, and that's for any deck. The goal of learning any deck is just to learn the way to play the deck, and then adding in your own little spice. Eat then. Once you learn to play a deck effectively, that's when you add your own little takes to it. From there, you're pretty much unstoppable. And that's pretty much covering this deck. Once again, if you want to have fun, you want to do something spicy, but you want something that's competitive and wins, Show and Tell Kinnan is the way. Having said that and covered this deck, you're welcome. I'll, you know, post it once again, take your look, you know, change things in it if you like, but I promise you, once you put that omniscience into play, once you show and tell something beautiful into play, you're not gonna want to go back. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. This is a drug. This is fun. You know, outside of that, once again, you know, thank you for your time. I should do that. I should thank you guys for your time, for coming out, you know, and listening to this, taking this all in, seeing how beautiful it is. All right. And I'm only doing this because I love y'all. That's why I'm doing it. I love y'all. All y'all. Even my haters, I love y'all. Because if y'all wouldn't hate me, I wouldn't know what I was doing right. Once again, like, you know, posting this, and outside of this, what we're gonna do, maybe moving forward, you know, I might post another deck tech. I'll let you guys on a little secret. Right now I'm working on Edrix and Niv, or is it, how do you say it? Right now I'm working on Edrix and Niv. I'm working on a little something there. Now that we have all that covered, the only thing left is to pretty much let you guys know and to remind you guys, show nothing but love and respect for one another. Let's build a strong community. All right. Yeah.